Hackers have forced Madonna into rush releasing parts of her new album.
First you loved me and I let you in. Made me feel like I was born again. You empowered me, you made me strong. Built me up and I could do no wrong. I let down my guard.
The singer made 6 songs from Rebel Heart available online this morning after unfinished versions of album tracks were leaked earlier this week. On social media, she called the leak artistic rape and a form of terrorism, but said that today's release was an early Christmas gift for fans. Well, someone who knows a thing or two about pop divas is Lady Gaga's former DJ, Jay Sullivan. He joins me now from New York. Thanks very much for joining us live here on Sky News. So Madonna clearly furious about these leaks, forced her hand. She's released some of these tracks early, but actually, have the leaks perhaps done her a favour, getting her a lot of publicity after all?
It's interesting that this happened to Madonna, and you're correct in saying that she was flustered. Madonna represents an era that we call in pop music empire, and we live in a very post-empire world now with people like Lady Gaga and Beyonce and Taylor Swift being open about their lives, showing you on Instagram, letting you videotape in the studio, seeing in on the process and a little bit behind the curtain.
So, given that, do you think that she's trying to control her own music too much, that she wanted to release this album in totality?
No, in fact, there's some way there's a tie into the Sony leaks there, because the artist needs to have control of the process where they build something. And with all of these leaks right now that are happening, the question is, of course, who is the intended audience here? So in the intended audience, Madonna is in the middle of a track, and it's probably some of the best producers and musicians in the industry. They know when to fix something, when to move something around, and when it will be a finished product that can then go out and be streamed, be recorded, be rebroadcast, be played live. That's the final draft. Madonna's in process, and interrupting that process is what got her so flustered.
Yeah, it's obviously upsetting for an artist when they don't feel that something is fully finished. Lady Gaga has had the same thing happen to her. How did she react when some of her tracks were leaked a bit early?
She reacted with some frustration, but I remember her being frustrated only because she was in the middle of finishing a song, and the recording that got out there was very low quality, and she does everything she can to give her fans the highest quality they can. And that sort of forced Gaga's hand, which she was prepared for, and made it a bit exciting at the time, that Gaga said, you know what, here it is, here's the better version, here's the whole thing, I'm putting it on iTunes, and I won't even do it on a Tuesday, it's gonna ruin my Nielsen ratings, but I don't care.
I'm sure our audience can appreciate that artists want the best of themselves to be put out there. But in terms of actual albums now, do we listen to music in that way anymore? When I was a kid, you certainly did anticipate the release of your favourite artist albums, and you would sit and listen to it in duration. But do we have the time for that anymore?
You make a good point there, because now the way we listen to music is the difference between hardware and software. We used to get the record in the mail at the record store. Now we find it on YouTube, we find it online, someone makes us a copy of it. But the one you're seeing online is software, and software is something that it's 1.0, 2.0, 2.12. People are constantly trying to make it better, make it more user-friendly, and you are the user, you deserve the best process. But sometimes that means, of course, letting the artist do their work before it comes out. No one wants to have what we call version 0.9, the almost ready version. Most artists are willing to go with what is called in software minimum viable product, meaning the one that's ready to go. That is your demo tape, that is your first show, but that is not what Madonna's all about.
I just want to talk to you a bit more about this notion of albums, because a couple of months ago, iTunes downloaded U2's new album, forced it onto their audiences. Everybody got it into their playlist, whether they wanted it or not, and that upset a lot of people. They didn't want to not have the choice. And Bono said afterwards the reason they did it is because they were worried that otherwise no one would listen to their music. So even someone of Bono's stature, success, they panic that people don't want to download their albums in the way that perhaps, as I said, they might have done a few decades ago.
Yeah, I think I can see where Bono's point is, that he doesn't write singles or music videos, he writes albums. But you see, because we're going from hardware to software, your hardware, and you saw this in the Sony leaks and in any email that comes out about someone, your hard drive is private. It's like your sock drawer. It's not that there's anything particularly interesting on it or in it, but when someone goes through it, it doesn't make you that comfortable, and someone who puts something in your sock drawer would make you very uncomfortable, no matter who you are. And that's what Bono and U2 did when they did it sort of ham-handedly by putting that album on all of our hard drives.
Brendan, Jay Sullivan, loving the spots there. Thanks very much for joining us live from New York. Thank you.
Thanks very much.